We've made it through the second season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
For as much as people were talking up this season as being one of the best, especially the second half, I am hoping the show gets better.
I agree. Would you say it was better than season 1?
Yeah, mainly because season 1 had so few episodes that I could say, alright, yeah,
I agree. There were still a lot of bad episodes in this season,
for sure.
but they didn't make up as large a percentage of the total episodes.
I would agree with that. When she was bad, the first episode, that had me feeling good about the way the season was going to go.
I agree. I thought it was a cool way to tie in directly to what happened before and remind us of everything. And it was a good character episode for Buffy, even though she acted kind of stupid. I mean, I guess that's pretty common. But after that, it seemed like we got a whole bunch of Monster of the Week type episodes that were pretty forgettable.
Yeah.
There was the Mummy Girl,
Reptile Boy.
the Frankenstein episode,
Which one was that?
the one with the football player guy.
Oh, yeah, see? I already forgot about that one.
We did introduce Spike pretty early on in the season.
Which was cool.
At first,
Right.
this season definitely felt divided into two halves. I thought the first half, in terms of the way it handled the overall plot, was better. Spike felt a lot more active than Angel did later. He was actually going out and doing things. And I felt like the What's My Line two-parter felt like a big conclusion and was more satisfying to me than the actual end of the season.
Yeah, I agree. That finale in the church felt like a finale.
Yeah, the second half,
Opening with Ted.
well, we can skip over that. It was definitely more character focused, I guess, because it was more about the relationship between Buffy and Angel. And I think that's a big part of why I didn't think it was as strong, because that relationship hasn't been very developed, even though we've had 2 seasons to do that.
And even though they dedicated so much time in the second half of this season, it still wasn't developed.
I did think it was a good creative decision to have Angel turn bad, but once he did, it felt like the only thing he did that actually mattered was killing Miss Calendar. Everything up until the end was just, oh, it's Angel. Remember, he's bad.
Yeah.
I did like that they managed to restore his soul before Buffy had to kill him anyway. That was unexpected, and I thought made the ending a little better.
But those characters did not communicate with each other for that episode and could have solved a lot of their own problems proactively.
And Angel, in general, has just not been a character that I've cared about at all.
Well, now he's gone, so good riddance, I say.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm afraid Buffy's going to spend all of season 3 just moping about it.
Yeah, I mean, she spent this entire season moping about things even when things were going well for her, which I feel like I've said that multiple times, that she would complain about things even though, she had a boyfriend, she had all these friends and blah, blah, blah. Everything seemed to be working at times, but she would still find something to complain about.
Right.
And they did the same thing with Willow complaining about Oz when their relationship was going strong.
Right.
It seemed like they just keep trying to find excuses for these characters to complain about something and to kind of build drama when there's no drama.
Yeah, high school sucks in fictional settings and realistic ones too. So what about Joyce? That's the one thing I'm kind of interested in, how Joyce now reacts to things, now that she knows, even though she should have known in season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, well, that was a twist that I liked, or I don't know if it's a twist, a development. But Joyce kind of, not just because she hasn't figured things out, but she seems like an idiot a lot of the time. She doesn't feel like a compelling character at all.
Well, she's never there.
Yeah, but even when she is talking to Buffy about things, it seems like they kind of stick her in because Buffy has to have a mother or a parent or something, but she doesn't really feel like a strong character.
I like whenever they're having a conversation and she'll say something like, I feel like I don't even know who you are. And I want Buffy to say, I haven't seen you in 6 episodes. How would you know?
Yeah, and she never actually tries to talk to Buffy about anything. It's always just go to your room, or you're grounded, or whatever. What a quality parent. The only episode that really focused on her at all was Ted, and that episode was terrible.
So Spike and Drusilla, that was going to be a big thing once Drusilla got healed or whatever.
Yeah.
But then Spike was in the wheelchair and couldn't really do anything. I hope that Spike and Drusilla don't do the same thing where they don't do anything.
Yeah, that was really disappointing. Again, especially after the What's My Line two-parter felt like such a big conclusion, a big important thing, and then it didn't end up leading to anything.
That was their goal, to restore Drusilla, and then they did, and then nothing happened.
Yeah, and she didn't even seem really all that different afterward. It did feel like both halves of the season, you kind of had the same thing happening over and over again a little too much, where they would come up with this big threat and throw it at Buffy and nothing would happen, nothing would come of it, and then they would do it again. I hope whoever the next big villain turns out to be doesn't do the same thing. And I thought Spike was going to be different at first because he was going out more than the Master did, which, I mean, that worked for the Master, but we need something that isn't the same thing again.
I want Airplane Kid's twin brother to be an antagonist.
We did have another villain, Ethan Rayne.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen him in a while. I was hoping he would show up some more. I really liked his character in terms of his performance and the way he was written. Way more than Angel. I liked that he had a connection to Giles. It gave us a little bit more background on Giles too, but I'm not sure what his motivation is. We know he's bad. We know he does bad things, but why? What's the point? We know about the tattoo episode, why he wanted to switch the tattoos, but he was already doing other stuff.
I think from even season 1, I thought Giles was a strong character, and I'm glad that they gave him more character development this season.
I agree, but I felt like that only came in the first half.
Yeah.
In the second half, it definitely felt like he kind of lost some steam and was just kind of there.
Well, in the show's defense, they were trying to give development to other characters.
Yeah, if only they had done a good job with it.
Right.
I mean, having Miss Calendar die, again, I think that was a good creative decision, a good story decision, but the impact on Giles really only seemed to last for that episode. He would mention it later on, but we never actually got exploration of how he was dealing with it. It was just kind of a thing that it was like, oh, remember she died? And that was it, which was disappointing. So obviously our favorite character from season 1 was Xander.
Ugh.
And I think that's held on for season 2.
Ugh.
I talked about that weird scene in the first episode where he almost kissed Willow and then nothing happened, and that I was hoping they would bring it up at some point, and of course they didn't through the entire season.
Which was then repeated in the last episode in a very out-of-place moment.
Yeah, which at this point I don't want anything to come of it. Xander has just constantly acted more and more like a crazy person. He's such an unlikable character in pretty much every way, and even a lot of the other characters don't seem to like him that much. And we even had a weird scene with him and Buffy in Phases. That was weird, and that never came up again. And again, I hope it doesn't. What did you think of the whole Xander Cordelia thing?
I thought because they were two of the weaker characters, having them team up was potentially a good move.
I agree. And I actually think overall that relationship works. I feel like it has actually had more development than things like the Angel-Buffy relationship. The way it started was kind of dumb, where they just randomly start making out.
Right.
But later on, I feel like it made for an interesting pairing and for some good humor at times. So I can't believe it, but I think that's a positive development. Willow hasn't really done a whole lot this season. She's just kind of the girl they go to when they need hacking stuff or magic stuff now.
I thought her teaching for half of the school year was still really dumb, but I'm hoping they develop more of that magic stuff. It would be cool if they had a magic person on their team because they stopped reaching out to Amy for some reason.
And of course, Willow is in a relationship with Oz. I definitely liked Oz more than any of the main characters. And even his relationship with Willow. Again, they have developed relationships in a way that worked a lot better than the Angel-Buffy one, but that's supposed to be the main... That's not just the main characters, that's the main arc of the season.
Right.
Is their relationship. Why couldn't they make that work? And then, of course, we had Oz turn into a werewolf, and they were like, oh, you're going to have to keep dealing with this as we go forward, and then they never mentioned it again.
Yeah.
That was disappointing. I mean, I could see how that would be difficult to deal with every few episodes, every full moon, but if they weren't prepared to deal with that, then why make a major character into a werewolf? It seemed like there wasn't really a point to doing that if they weren't going to do anything with it.
Yeah, I forgot he was a werewolf.
Yeah, because it was just one thing that happened one time. Principal Snyder, I thought, was still great, but he didn't show up all that much, and he got a little weird toward the end of the season. It's obvious they're going to do something with that, but right now it's a little bit confusing.
I liked Snyder a lot at the beginning when he was introduced, and now knowing that he has some sort of connection to the Hellmouth, and other people in the town do too, I'm kind of intrigued to see where that goes, but I felt like they didn't use his character to his full potential. And by the end, he kind of just popped in without really contributing anything.
He seemed more of a comical character earlier on, but toward the end, it seemed like they were making him into more of an actual antagonist. And it didn't really fit with the goofiness that they had established for him earlier. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And we did have a new Slayer introduced, Kendra, who I actually liked. She was very different from Buffy. I thought she had a good dynamic with Buffy and everybody else. But then they brought her back just to kill her off.
Yeah, that was really disappointing.
A huge missed opportunity for some potentially good storylines.
She could have come back in other seasons too. I don't see why not.
Well, let's talk about Buffy herself.
Why? Oh, I mean, okay.
Pretty much her entire role in this overall season arc was just dealing with Angel. She was so focused on that there really wasn't anything else to her character. And again, the whole Angel Buffy thing, for me, didn't work at all. And not just because Angel is such a boring character, but she's the protagonist. I kind of wish she had other things going on too that we could care about.
Which again, she could if, for instance, Joyce was in the picture more, if Snyder was in the picture more, things like that.
Yeah, there were so many different things that she could be dealing with, but the show, for whatever reason, doesn't want to explore them to any depth. They'll mention things like they did with season 1 where she doesn't fit in or she's, ostracized and all this stuff, but they don't actually explore it. They just kind of tell you about it and have her kind of complaining about things. And they could have used that to make her a more sympathetic character. They could have used that to add some depth to her character. They don't really seem to explore what it's like to be the Slayer. In this season, it was just about her and Angel, so that was disappointing.
Yeah.
What was your favorite episode of the season?
I'm leaning towards when she was bad, because it got the taste of season 1 out of my mouth, made me feel good about where season 2 was going to go before it fell off a cliff.
Okay. I'm going to go with Passion, the one episode in the second half relating to the whole Buffy Angel thing that I thought actually worked. The one episode where Angel actually did something, but it wasn't just because of its place in the overall story. It was just a good episode. Because again, I didn't think the overall story really worked, but that was a good episode that made me actually care in that episode. And then I would add that Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, which came right before it, was also really good, which was very surprising given that it was a Xander episode, but I thought the humor really worked in that episode, and that's pretty much what the episode was about. And I think that's the only time that we've gotten 2 episodes in a row that I thought were really good.
Yeah, that seems about right.
We didn't talk about the humor, but I would say it has gotten better overall in this season.
I would agree.
But there are still a lot of times that they try to insert jokes into very inappropriate places, or jokes that the characters make that don't feel like they fit those characters, or that are just kind of stupid.
Mm-hmm.
What was your least favorite episode of the season?
Oh boy, Go Fish was really stupid. Reptile Boy was really stupid.
I know I liked that one a lot more than you did, but in the long run it was pretty forgettable.
Yeah, the Mummy one was pretty bad too. There were a few that were just not good. I'm gonna go with Inca Mummy Girl. No. I'm gonna go with Go Fish. I thought that one was stupid on so many levels. I just didn't like it.
Okay. Looking at the episode list, the worst episodes overall I do think were in the beginning of the season. The standalone episodes, like Some Assembly Required and Inca Mummy Girl. But I'm gonna go with Ted. A very weird episode that totally drops the ball on dealing with the implications of Buffy having killed an innocent person. Maybe not innocent, but, not a monster or a murderer or anything. I hated that episode so much. And again, it's one of those things that should be a big deal that in this case, thankfully, never seems to come up again.
You're just anti-technology.
What was your favorite monster of the season? I would go with Giles. No.
I'm anti-egg, so I can't say bad eggs. Yeah, that big thing in the ground, that could have been cool.
Yeah, lots of things could have been cool. What about the guy with the suction eyes?
Oh, man. Give me some of the monsters.
The football episode.
That was dumb.
The Inca Mummy Girl. The Reptile Boy. Spike.
When you say favorite monster, I'm thinking more Monster of the Week, not like a character like Spike.
I would throw them all together.
Well, it would be Spike if he didn't do nothing for the last half of the season.
Okay. Would you say Spike was a better antagonist than Bad Angel?
When he was doing things, yes.
I would agree. He definitely had a stronger personality and was just more interesting to watch.
Even that conversation he had with Buffy in Becoming Part 2 was much more interesting than the conversations between Buffy and Angel.
I agree. The conversations with Buffy and Angel is basically just the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And with her saying, I can't kill you now, but I'll do it later.
Or when she says, I'm gonna kill you, but then doesn't.
Again, her defining character trait in the season was letting the bad guys go.
Right.
He's not a monster, but I'm going to go with Ethan Rayne. I agree that Spike was better than Angel, at least in the first half. But Ethan Rayne, even though he's a bad guy, he's a likable character. And I want to see him come back and do more. Although, again, I'm not really sure why he's there, what he's trying to do. But he was very intriguing. He reminded me of Wyndham Earle from Twin Peaks. Just like Wyndham Earle, he has a connection to an authority-type figure and used to be friends with him, but is now bad and is coming back for some kind of revenge. And he likes to kind of mess with him. And they have kind of a similar personality, I would say. So yeah, I guess I would go with Ethan Rayne.
Okay.
What about least favorite monster or villain?
Eye suction guy was pretty stupid. I think Ted, probably. Because, I mean, there were other dumb monsters, but at least their makeup or presentation was cool. Ted just failed on all fronts for me.
Yeah, I guess I would also go with Ted. I mean, he's a robot. Not really what I expected to see Buffy dealing with. And it was kind of a throwaway explanation for everything at the end.
So hopefully he comes back.
So overall, I did think this was a better season than season 1.
But I'm still not impressed.
Yeah, the main storyline in the second half felt like something that really should have been developed better. And by the end of it, I just wanted it to be over.
The sign of any good TV show.
What are you hoping for in season 3?
I would like some more engaging storylines where things actually move forward in a logical way, not continually harping on the same thing for 8 episodes in a row without any development.
I agree 100%. I hope we get a villain that is interesting on their own, but also does things that impact the characters, other than just throwing a threat at them over and over again with nothing coming of it. And I am intrigued by the way the season ends, with Buffy leaving. But with the way season 2 started, it felt like things were going to be different, and they were for one episode, and then they kind of settled back to the same thing. And I hope season 3 doesn't do that.
I would also like characters to matter a little bit more and not be so one-dimensional.
Yeah, which is something we complained about in season 1, and it hasn't really changed that much.
We can still hope.
But we hope you'll stick with us as we find out how it goes from here.
I hope I stick with this, because I'm not on board yet. I'm only doing this because you wanted to do this show.
Yeah, and I'm only doing this because I'm too proud to admit I made a mistake.